My wife left me. How do I get her back? In this video, I'll talk about 4 simple steps on getting her back. These steps have been made by over 1,500 men whom I've consulted and are proven to be effective. The first step is to stop making the situation worse. If your wife has made the decision to leave you, she's put in a lot of energy, pain, negativity, worries, and disappointments in this decision. It took her a while to come to this conclusion, and she's sure to have doubted her choice many times. So it will be difficult to change her opinion now. If all of your energy is being spent on trying to fight her decision and make her change her mind, you will likely lose. I've seen thousands of men who were sure they were doing the right thing by rushing into saving the situation. They did what they thought was right, but didn't get anywhere. There are 2 ways to get your wife back. One way is to get her to be happy and thankful to you, compliment you, adore you. The other is to force her to be with you, in which case she'll be cold, unresponsive in bed, angry, and you and the children unhappy. You can influence your wife in such a way that she's happy with you, that she adores and admires you. But to do so, you need to change your tactic, considering her needs and desires, and not try to force her logically and manipulate her into being with you. In my experience, it's very difficult to convince a woman to stay with a man in just a couple of days. Following is the most effective way to get your wife back, based on my experience. First, you need to take a break and give her a chance to cool off. She's so negative right now that she won't see or hear anything you have to say to her. She just wants to leave and be alone. After she's had some time to cool off, you can start trying to influence her, showing her that you have changed and your relationship can be better. Right now, she's in the mood that tells her, "I'm alone. A new life is starting. I'll be happy finally." She's not disappointed and has no regret. She's completely sure that everything will be great. It's pointless to try and change her mind, chase her, give her flowers and presents, write and try to convince her of anything before she cools off. When she calms down, she'll have other feelings, and then you can start talking to her and try to steer her in the right direction. But you need to do this correctly and not just say something like, "Come back and everything will be good." Instead of fighting her decision with all your might, you need to plant the seed of doubt. Make her wonder if she's making a mistake. But if you tell her this directly, she's likely to resist. It's like if you'd go outside and be bombarded by a man saying, "Buy from me, I love you, buy, buy, buy." Something similar happens when men are too pushy at getting their women back. Even if you need something, even if you're being forced to buy it, its value needs to be shown to you in the correct way. Your goal is to plant the seed of doubt. And to do that, you need to stop chasing her, writing her, telling her how much you love her, asking her constantly how she's doing, etc., etc. She needs to be left alone so that she begins to doubt her decision. When you're pushing her, she has no doubt that she's doing the right thing. If she's alone, remembering all the good times you've had together, she'll start wondering if leaving was really what she should have done. But doubt doesn't mean she'll turn around and come back. Changes require time. Don't try to make her pity you, because a pitiful man is unattractive. Don't tell her that you're broken without her and that you'll do anything to get her back. She doesn't believe your words. Men love to talk about the future and then not actually deliver. Many women say that their men promise many things but give very little. This means that a woman leaves after she's talked and talked and talked about what she needs, and the man didn't do it or just promised and didn't do it. And so she left. What do you need to stop doing, first of all? You need to stop chasing her, writing her love messages, being pushy, or making her pity you. Again, a pitiful man is unattractive, and a woman doesn't want to be with him. When you see beggars on the street, you may want to give them money, but you don't want to be friends with them. It's the same concept. Saying that you love her 100 times a day won't solve your problem. She knows that you love her, but she's made her decision based on other things. Trying to manipulate her through children won't bear fruit, because even if you can force her to do something, it'll likely come back to haunt you. Even if you can make her stay with you through such manipulation, you probably understand that you shouldn't do that. But often you get too emotional and start making mistakes. Even those who see a therapist make mistakes. You may seem like you can control everything, but there come times when you are too sad and too hurt, and you want to act. Sometimes, if you've been drinking in the evening, you do things that you shouldn't do. The situation only gets worse from this. I even get messages, sometimes, saying that there was a plan, but the man didn't follow it, and now he needs help because the situation has gotten worse. Stop making the situation worse. What do you need for that? You need to understand that you can't always control your emotions and be a strong man. That's why it's important to pay attention to your emotional health. When we work with people, we follow special techniques, working together in such a way that they get better emotionally and see the situation they are in a different light. It's very difficult to go through a divorce on your own. I recommend either reading some special literature or, better yet, working with someone who will support you. You can also use the techniques we talk about in the book, Get Your Wife Back, which can be found by following the link below this video or in the comments. There are also people who consult with a therapist, but still do what they think is best. Then they run back asking for help because the situation has gotten worse. They often say something like, "I decided to check. What if I was right?" But it doesn't work like that. It also happens that men think that just because they've watched one video or read one article, they've figured everything out and know how to act. Yet they still fall to their old ways. Many men lie to themselves, living in an illusion. If you continue to communicate with her, finding excuses to do so, she will still see that you are needy. And while you're needy, she sees you as pitiful. And it's very unlikely that she'll come back to you. Often men ask, if I leave her alone, what if she figures out that she'd made the right decision? Meaning that you've been chasing her around and she's been pushing you away. And for some reason, when you left her alone for a couple of days, she decided that she was right to leave you. That's not how it works. Most likely, if she gets to be alone, she will start doubting her choice. But if you push her and try to convince her to be with you, she'll be more and more sure that her decision was right. The second step is to prepare for a comeback after you've given it some time. It's important to make yourself better, to create a new, exciting, and interesting version of yourself. She's left the old version of you slamming the door in its face, and she doesn't want to go back to it. For her to come back, you need to create another version. What you need to do right now is figure out the reasons she left in the first place, and make sure you don't repeat them in the future. To do this, you can utilize the technique of the 10 latest conflicts, the essence of which is to write out all of her grievances, what she's complained about in the last fights you've had, and see which one repeats the most often. Many times, women say that their husband didn't listen to them, didn't value them enough, meaning that she says the same thing over and over but sees that the man isn't reacting. So she leaves. If you write out all of her complaints during fights, you'll see that. Sometimes the man does everything for his wife, but she still leaves. The reason in this case is that he was too accommodating, putting her up on a pedestal. His wife became the queen to whom he's the servant. But he's forgotten about himself and stopped being interesting and important in her eyes. Sometimes the man works really hard, trying to make as much money as possible. He gets his wife expensive gifts, toys, and clothes for the kids. But he himself walks around in old raggedy clothes. His attraction level goes down in this case, because next to his beautiful wife, he looks run down. It's very important for the woman to have a man next to her who values himself as well as her. If something out of this equation isn't right, For example, he values himself but not her, she will leave. Same goes around for the reverse situation. If he values her but not himself, a queen needs a king, not a slave. There needs to be a balance in everything, and you need to pay attention to yourself as well as your wife. Like the video if you found this information useful. After you figured out why she left you, you need to work on yourself and those reasons, and change. Only after you've changed do you need to show her those changes. Many men say that they understand everything, telling their wife that they will change and everything will be great. But it mostly happens that the man only says that, no actual changing, and the relationship still falls apart. Imagine that the woman that you've been dating and interested in gains 70 kilos. As a result, you aren't attracted to her and don't want to date anymore. It's the same for your wife. It's not enough to understand the reasons. You need to change yourself and show her that you've done so. You can use the method of indirect influence to do so. The book Get Your Wife Back talks in detail about this method, the essence of which is to influence your wife through her surroundings, social media, and special stories, in which you show the changes that you've already undergone. A simple example: if you work out and get yourself in shape, you post a picture online, your wife sees it and starts thinking about you. If you just tell her that you're planning to start working out, it won't have the same effect. If you need examples and a step-by-step plan, including templates for the special stories, you can find them in the book Get Your Wife Back by following the link under this video or in the comments. Another example I have is when a man gets himself in shape but continues to scold her, being very negative towards her. It's as if losing weight is supposed to compensate for that. Instead of finding the real reason for the relationship failure, he tries to cover up, hoping that everything will be fine. You need to look into the core of the problems you've had and solve them. If the man was negative and gained weight, for the wife to believe him, he needs to work through his issues with a therapist or a coach, get better emotionally, and lose weight. This way, it will be easier for your wife to believe that you've really changed and come back to you. If you just lose weight but still show signs of being negative, she won't come back because your physical changes aren't good enough and don't solve the underlying issues. It's the same as when a car has a problem with the engine, but the mechanic only changes the tires, saying that now everything will be fine. If you sow the seeds of doubt in the right way, showing your wife that you're changing for the better, she'll be interested in you, beginning to wonder if she's made the right decision and paying more attention to you. She will start to write and be warm with you again. After this, you'll be able to invite her out on a date. But it will be important not to talk about anything serious and try to get back together. What you'll need to do is just have a good time together. What was your relationship like at the beginning? Most likely you just had fun. Your wife was happy and so she fell in love with you. You were close and felt good together. You need to do the same now. You don't need to invite her on a first date and ask her to come back to you right away. You just need to create an atmosphere in which she wants to see you again and again. Just have a great date. If you've spent too much time together with the children and never got to be alone with your wife, it's important to leave the kids with a babysitter and just have fun together, like you did before you had children. This way, your wife will have a chance to fall in love with you again. When she sees that you've really changed, she'll start to warm up to you. This is when you can remind her of the good time you've had together. If you try to do it sooner, though, she'll only be negative towards you. Don't wait for the magic day when everything gets better all on its own and she comes back to you. Act now. If you're confused and worried, not knowing what to do, we can help you with a single step-by-step plan, which you can find in the book Get Your Wife Back. Just follow the link below this video. The book includes simple techniques for different situations and stories templates that you can edit for your specific situation and send to your wife. Good luck in getting your wife back. If you have ideas for future videos, let us know. We'll be happy to create more useful content and continue helping people.